Hey there, folks. Chuck Holton here. I am at the airport in Panama and getting ready to go to the United States for a few days. I'm going to be speaking at the National Press Club on the 21st of this month on the topic of immigration. And then from there, the same day, I will leave and go to Ukraine to cover the 1 year anniversary of the conflict. And then from there, we'll go spend a week in Armenia, covering the conflict in Armenia, and then come home. I wanted to talk just for a minute about the 1 year anniversary with Ukraine and the conflict over there. Just about 1 year ago, I was in the Donetsk, Luhansk area and watching the events unfold in real time as the Russians built up their forces on the border. And everybody, the intel agencies in the United States and the UK were saying that they were going to invade, and nobody believed them. Even the Ukrainians didn't believe them. And we watched Ukrainians just going about their daily lives. Even here it is, the 18th. I got to Ukraine on the 7th of February. So we'd already been there for several weeks and had been watching all of this. And most people we talked to said, look, we're used to Russian aggression. We've been dealing with it since 2014. And so it's nothing new to us, and we don't think that Russia's going to invade. The experts, except for the intel community, were proven wrong, and Russia did invade, obviously. Since then, we've seen literally hundreds of thousands of people killed in a very senseless war. I've been reading an interesting book lately on this called, I think, the Rules of Stupidity or something like that. And it just talks about how there are basically four kinds of people in the world. People who are intelligent will do things that are good for themselves and for the other party in any transaction. People who are helpless will do things that are good for the other party, but not for themselves. I would call that selfless in many cases. People who are bandits are those who take from others to enrich themselves so that the transaction is only beneficial to themselves. And stupid people engage in transactions which don't benefit either party. And looking at what we see in Ukraine, that's exactly what we're looking at with Vladimir Putin. Every decision he's made since the beginning of this conflict has resulted in no benefit to his country and no benefit to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians, they're talking about now having to fend off another massive attack from Russia that's supposed to come in the next few days, with Russia amassing up to 500,000 troops on the border. Now, let's just look back at the first invasion of the 24th of February last year. Russia had about 190,000 to 200,000 troops that came across the border into Ukraine. At that time, Ukraine only had about 200,000 of its own forces. I'm talking armed forces, meaning the military and like police forces, because when they're invading your own country, your police are going to be involved. Anybody with a gun. They only had about 200,000. And they were able to defeat the Russians with much military assistance from the West. Now, I think it's important to point out that many people don't know this, but under Donald Trump, the United States gave Ukraine more than $1 billion of weapons in several different packages, specifically for the reason of assisting them in case Russia were to invade. And so a lot of the conservatives who are pushing for, who are angry that the Biden administration is giving weapons to Ukraine, spending money in Ukraine. Trump did it too. All you diehard Trumpians, there you go. So Ukraine made very good use of those weapons, especially the javelins and the anti-tank weapons that they were given, the Stinger missiles, to stop the Russian advance. And they absolutely decimated the Russian forces. I don't think you can call it anything else. When they've lost over 100,000 troops in a year, that's a city. It's a city worth of people. The Russian forces have been decimated. The estimates by the same intelligence forces that said that they were going to invade now say that Russia has currently deployed into Ukraine 97% of its military. 97%. And they are not making big gains. They're making very small gains that come at absolutely unbelievable cost. I'm talking about something, they're losing like 100 soldiers per meter of ground that they take. That's how expensive this is for Russia. They're losing up to 1,000 soldiers a day dead in this conflict. That is mind-boggling. That is unsustainable. So Russia is hoping to push into Ukraine quickly. Human waves, just throw a bunch of conscripts at it. Now, the first time those troops were better trained and better equipped, now those troops are poorly trained and poorly equipped, and even more poorly motivated than the first group was. And I don't expect that 500,000 Russian troops against what is now a Ukrainian force of up to 1 million men, military and police, will prevail either. And there are some signs already that Russian forces are failing at their objectives already in the shaping operations that lead up to this big push. I intend to be there for it. We'll see how it goes. I'm praying that God will thwart the plans of evil men. And so I'll be reporting live on Newsmax, sending packages to CBN, and putting stuff up here on the podcast. So thanks for watching. You can follow me and support me if you like at chuckholton.locals.com. You don't have to pay anything, but subscribing there will get you access to some content that I'm not really allowed to broadcast, or things that may be early before they're broadcast. So I'll be putting some stuff up there as I get a chance. And so if you don't hear from me for the next day or two, it's because I'm just doing a lot of driving. I got to run around and pick some things up and visit some grandbabies and that sort of thing in the next couple of days. But stay tuned. There's a lot coming. We'll see you.